Hey, what is up, guys? I hope you guys are doing good. This is Gabe from Squeegee. I am coming from a hotel room, so hopefully you're seeing me okay, and hopefully you're hearing me okay. I am out of town right now. I'll tell you a little bit about what I'm doing and how things are going, but I just want to say hi to everybody. Hey, Jess, how you doing? Adam's in. Codrine is in. Good to see you guys. Hope everything's going well. You just doing a lot of work. We're going to have our IWCA board meeting tomorrow, so excited about that. That's going to be one of the long ones, but we got a lot of stuff going on in preparation for the Elevate convention, which is exciting, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody who's been coming and all the new ones that we hopefully we can get for the convention. But anyways, I just wanted to let you guys kind of know what's going on. My window clean business, Gabe Spotless Window Cleaning, we've expanded into another city. Well, it's a little town, really. In Arizona, we get slow in the summer. We still have work, but it's not much. So we were looking to find somewhere to expand, and it's a little town called Pine Top, Lakeside, and Sholo. Those are all little communities here, and we are looking forward to growing there. So we've been working last week, this week. I'm here this week. Um, we want to try to get this established. So it's taking a lot of work, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I've been doing the traveling and kind of running around. But it's a lot of fun. It's definitely something that I've never done before. I've never expanded into a new city. I've always been just in Tucson and the surrounding suburbs. So that is pretty exciting. But anyways, yeah, I did want to share something with you guys. So there's a guy, Dan Friss. He owns a Radiant Window Cleaning. I can't remember exactly where he's at, but he's been in the Into the Flow group for quite a while, and he has recently um, come up with a program for Facebook ads. And I talked with him, and we were like, hey, maybe we can do some type of collaboration with Squeegee. And we're going to do it. It's going to be in the future at least. But I wanted to try it out to see how effective it was. Obviously, if I'm going to associate Squeegee with something, I want to make sure that it's something on board. So I went ahead and purchased his program, and I've been taking his classes. We've done two classes. So I just wanted to show you guys the results here. It's pretty cool. Let me go ahead and so this is my Facebook ads that I've run since Friday. So I'm running at 8.87 per lead. Now I don't know if any of you guys have run Facebook ads before, but they're kind of weird, right? And I've done them myself. I've hired other people to do them, and it's trial and error. Sometimes they work great, sometimes they don't. I personally have stopped running Facebook ads because the ROI was really high. I was getting like $70, $80 per lead. And that just, I could spend that money better elsewhere. And anyways, the reason why I'm just telling you this is because we were going into this new city. I needed a way to get us, start getting our name out there. And I mean, it's just amazing just to only pay $8 per lead. So we've got, I think it was 16 leads so far. That's just since Friday. And we've booked about $2,600 in work just from just from a few days of running the Facebook ads. So, anyway, I'm just telling you because, and just full disclosure here, like I said, we are going to be working together, Dan and I. So there is some financial benefit on Squeegee's part on that. But as you can see, his system works. Now I don't know if you're going to get those exact numbers that I have. I mean, it's unheard of what I'm getting. I don't, it obviously depends on the area that you're in. It depends on, what kind of clientele you're trying to reach. And there's definitely in any Facebook campaign you do, there's going to be some kind of learning curve where you're going to have kind of some ups and downs. And so that's something they have to take into consideration. So in his course is pricey. It's definitely an investment, but for someone who really can't afford to pay someone to run Facebook ads for them on a regular basis, but they still want to run ads, I just think it is the perfect course. So what it is basically is he calls it the shortcut. what he does is, if you've ever run Facebook ads on your own, it can be kind of convoluted. It can kind of be confusing. So he just takes the important parts that you, as a window cleaner, small business owner, need to care about, and all the rest, he says, don't even worry about it. Don't put attention there. Don't put attention here. This part is important. Do this. Here is a formula. Make your video like this, and then you just follow it, and that's what he's selling. I just, again, just blown out of the water are the results that I've seen on this. And so I'm just letting you guys know, like I said, we weren't going to really make any announcement about our collaboration until maybe a few weeks, a couple weeks till we work out some other programming. We will probably do some other work together. But I just was so impressed with what he's done so far with my Facebook ads, that I just wanted to make sure you guys knew about it. And like I said, let me play it again here. Just so you can see there. I mean, just, oh, it's 19 ads. Sorry, 19 leads for at almost $9 a lead. I mean, that's just insane. So that means like about 3 other leads have come in since the last time I checked. I just took that screenshot before I came on here, so I would have the most up to date. So I don't. My number may even be higher than that. So, anyways, again, we're going to collaborate. So there's obviously some type of benefit Squeegee is going to get. So I don't want that to be construed as I'm just here saying, oh, I'm giving this information out because then I'm not benefiting at all. I will be benefiting. But I just was so impressed. I just figured you guys needed to know. So if you want to get information, just DM me. I'll send you the link for him, or you can just talk with him first and kind of get more information from him. But I definitely just wanted to pass that along. But I hope you guys are doing good. So we got Craig Hensel in. What's up, Craig? How you doing, bud? Good to see you. I hope everything's going good with you and all the museum, the Rolling with the Window Cleaner Museum. John Magdos just joined us as well. That's awesome. Looking forward to talking with him. John has just been one of those guys who's been in the industry for a long time. He's in Arizona as well, northern Arizona, up Phoenix, and I think he goes up to Flagstaff and in that area. I can't remember, but I know for sure he's in Phoenix. But good to see him. I hope you guys are doing good. So, anyways, yeah, because I'm traveling and I'm working off of my laptop, I really didn't want to invite a guest on and then something not work, right? And then they take time out of their schedule and I can't help them, because they can't get on. I just didn't know what to trust on this computer that I'm on. So I thought what I would do is take some time and just kind of make this as a Gabe's Corner podcast. So it's for those of you who don't know, and I mentioned this when I made my video announcing this podcast. I've had a column in the American Window Cleaner magazine called Gabe's Corner since 2019, and it's been it's a lot of fun to be able to write. I do enjoy writing. I do enjoy kind of putting my thoughts on paper. It's very therapeutic for me. And hey, there's Dan. Dan's checking in. I just finished talking about you, Dan, and about your system. I'll talk about it again a little bit later, towards the end of the podcast. But yeah, so through that, through the writing, what it gives me a chance to do is to kind of get out some of the feelings that I have inside, but put them in paper and then be able to analyze them and kind of get a good grasp of what the things I'm dealing with. That can be so overwhelming at times. And it's just one of those things that it's so rare that you get an opportunity, and I was able to get it and take advantage of it. So I've enjoyed writing. There's a couple articles that I wanted to address and just go through. We're not going to read the articles. I'm just going to talk about the main points that are in those articles, because they are definitely things that we need to think about, and they affect all of us either at one time or another. Even if they may not be affecting us now, they will affect us in the future. And so we are definitely gonna. Hopefully, you're gonna learn some things and maybe hear some things that you might actually be able to use in your own business. So the first article I wanted to talk about, I wrote this. Let me see here if I can get it. So I wrote this back in 2023, and it's called "How to Not Burn Out as a Single Owner Operator." Being a single owner operator sometimes gets a bad rap, and I think sometimes with all of the the coaches that are out there, and then the people who you see on social media, and they'll give talks at conventions and stuff. It's all about scaling, right? It's all about grow, make more money, have more trucks, have a bigger company. And for some people, that's absolutely what they want to do. I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do. If that is your goal and what you want, then more power to you. But I think the vast majority of people, they want to stay small. They want to avoid the headaches. And those who want to stay single owner operator, they don't want to deal with employees. They don't want to deal with workers' comp. They don't want to deal with payroll taxes, all the stuff that goes along with having a business with employees. So that's totally understandable. But what happens, and burnout isn't just something that is only for a single owner operator. I want to make sure that that's clear. But those who are single owner operators do often feel the biggest brunt. And the reason is because there are limitations, right? Whenever we are doing some type of work and we have a limited amount of people who can do that work, there's going to be boundaries that you can't cross. And that's where I think a lot of people make a mistake. So what happens is they cross limits that just they shouldn't cross. And they do it for a number of reasons, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. But the bottom line is they're pushing themselves beyond what really they can bear. And the result is they get exhausted and they get burnt out. And pretty soon they start asking themselves, why am I doing this? Why am I killing myself? To what end? So how can we avoid getting to that point as a single owner operator? Well, the main thing is to, again, understand your limits. So what limits do we have as a single owner operator? Well, first, probably the one limit that you feel right away is your body, right? Now, if you're young, if you're in your 20s or even 30s, if you're healthy, right? I mean, you can just go all day and you're just doing fine. And you're tired at the end of the day, but you can get your rest and you get right back out there. And so that's definitely how you feel when you're young. But as you get older, or as other things kind of come up, maybe you do have an injury, maybe just your body it breaks down in a certain way that now makes it harder for you to work as long as you did. It's going to be harder for you to keep up that same pace. Now, if you've gotten to the point where you're depending on that income that comes from working at a certain level, well, you can see where now the pressure comes upon you that you have to push yourself in order to make that money, right? So what do you have to do? Well, in the beginning, when you are healthy, that's when you have to set your limits. So that could be a number of different things. It could be making sure you always have a day off. Maybe you have 2 days off. You take the full weekend off, right? And it's tempting to take on those extra jobs. But here's the thing. When you do make that time, what you're doing is you're allowing your body time to rest. And that means when the week starts up again, you're ready to go. And so by recognizing that your body is probably the most important piece of, well, not probably, it is the most important piece of equipment that you have as a window cleaner, then you have to treat it like that, right? I mean, you think about if you have a water fed system, right? You take care of it. You make sure it's not exposed to extreme cold, right? You make sure that it's drained when it needs to. You change out the filters when they should. You make sure the hoses are in good working order, that there's no leaks anywhere. You put a lot of effort into making sure that system continues running. And it's because it's expensive, right? You don't want to have to buy another system just because you were a bonehead and just didn't take care of the one that you had. It's no different with your body. You've got one body. And so make sure you do things that you take the time to make sure your body is a priority. So thinking about that, what are some things you can do? Well, when you're sick, do you allow your body time to rest? I mean, I certainly didn't for a long time, right? I mean, because you just have to work. You push yourself through that. Well, eventually your body's going to pay the price. The same thing with working long days and not getting any time off. Those are things that can have absolutely adverse affect your body. But what happens is once your body is affected, once you're feeling the pressure of not being able to have the same output that you used to, then what happens is now the burnout comes, because the burnout is usually mental. The burnout is usually something that is inside of you. It's rarely, oh, my body just can't go. Sometimes it does. Sometimes there is something serious and you just can't do it anymore with body-wise, right? Physically. But most of the time, your brain, you're just emotionally, you just can't handle the stress and the physicality of the job anymore, and you just don't want to do it. So if you aspire to make this single owner operating business a long-term thing, and that you're going to support your family up until you're ready to retire, take care of your body. Yeah, it's going to means you're going to turn down some money right now, but that means you're going to be able to make money a lot longer down the road. So just remember, your body does have limits. Even if you don't think it does, it does. So treat it that way when you're young. If you take care of it when you're young, you're going to be able to use it when you're older. So just like you wouldn't expect your truck to drive 100,000 miles without ever changing the oil, you've got to make sure you take care and let your body rest and view it that way. Now, number two, you have to recognize that your time has limits, right? So we've all been there, booked out a month, but your favorite customer calls and says, "Oh, hey, I have an emergency. My family's coming at it from out of town unexpectedly. My windows look horrible. Is there any way you could squeeze me in?" Now, it's true, look, you have a choice. Do I add her and risk, or hurt myself or push myself beyond what I can do? Or do I say no and I risk losing that customer? It's a tough choice, right? And not every, there's not like one right answer on that. Every situation is going to be different for you. So what's the thing that you have to remember? Well, for one, that's why it's so important to have days off, right? So if you have days off, what you're saying is, I'm reserving this time for myself. But what that also does is, if you do get an emergency that pops up just once in a while, now you have room to be able to fit that in without killing yourself, right? And so again, it comes with that planning. The knowing your body has limits actually works in conjunction with your time has limits. So sometimes you have to say no, and that's just the fact. Sometimes, even if it's the sweet old lady who is one of your favorite customers, if she's gonna drop you because you couldn't change your whole plans to fit her in the next day for something that she probably knew about for a couple weeks, maybe that's not your best customer. Maybe she's taking advantage of you, right? So hopefully, if they are a understanding person and you tell them, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I wish I could help you. I'd do anything for you, but unfortunately, I don't have the time for it." Hopefully, they understand and say, "Oh, I know, I get it. I know, I asked last minute. Oh well, you know." Or maybe you have someone that that you trust. You can refer them to get the job done, but they're not going to try and steal your customer from you. I have several window cleaners who I trust and who I use. So that's something to keep in mind. So yeah, remember, your time has limits, and if you push it beyond those limits, you're going to be pushing something else out. It could be your family, it could be your health, it could be your sanity, right? So make sure you set the limit for what you're willing to work, and then you stick to that limit. That's going to help to keep that burnout from coming in. But that takes control. You have to have control over your time. If you don't, you're not going to have control over your stress levels, and burnout is going to be right around the corner. Now, the last thing that you have to keep in mind is your income has limits. Now, if you choose to be a single owner operator, you're basically saying, I have a ceiling on how much I can earn, right? You're not 10 people, so you're not going to be able to make the $100,000, in quarter that the other companies are making in that way. You're going to have a ceiling. Now, what you do to determine that ceiling, there's a lot of different things you can do. But again, this goes back to thinking about the other two sets of advice, right? Is what are we doing to have our limits? So if we're controlling how much we work, if we're taking care of our body, that means that we're in a position to be able to make the most of the time that we have, and then most of the income that we have. So what are some things you can do to make sure you have control over your income, that you make that income go as far as you possibly can? Well, one thing is keep your expenses low. I mean, that's the number one thing. I'm guilty of that. I've made that mistake. If you just if you're in the habit of signing up for things and having monthly expenses just kind of come out of your business account because you're thinking, oh, it's business, there'll be money in there. Oh, $100 a month, that's not a big deal. Be mindful of what you're signing up for, because if you sign up for those automatic payments for something that maybe you might use once or twice and then never again, See, what you're doing is you're basically adding onto so you're taking away from your income that again has that ceiling, right? So that's one thing. So be mindful of what your expenses are. Really avoid going into unnecessary debt. There's definitely times where we do need to go into debt, right? You're buying a vehicle. Very few of us have, $25,000 to buy a work truck and then to just pay it off and not have a loan. So we definitely have to set up a budget when it comes to that. And that's really important. But how many times do we put things on credit cards that we really don't need, right? It's nice to have, but we don't need it. So if you're a single owner operator, you really have to weigh what are you buying and what are you spending money on? Because once it goes on that credit card, we know how high the interest rates are on credit cards, right? What if you spend $100 on something, you're going to pay it off, you're going to be spending about $300 on it. So you've just added $200 to what you paid for whatever thing that you put on that credit card. So just be mindful of that. The other thing that you need to remember is that you need to be raising your prices every year. Inflation is real. And we're feeling it right now, right? With all the expenses that are going up. If we're not raising our rates, at least with the rate of inflation, we are literally giving ourselves a pay decrease because we're making the same amount, but that same amount does not have the same value as it did the year before. So you always have to make sure that you are keeping up with inflation, that whatever you're making is worth that time that you're investing, right? And so Nick Anderson says set money aside as well. Having a little nest egg just in case something goes bad is also really important. If you don't have a business savings account, I think most of us have a personal savings account. You should have a business saving account just for that. I have one, and just $100 comes out every month just automatically, just so that it could be in there. And then I'll throw, what if we have extra, I'll throw in there just in case something comes up. So excellent advice. Yeah, Craig actually has. I'll touch on some of the things that Craig says once we finish this particular article. But yeah, so those are some things that you have to have. Make sure you have a responsible budget. You're honestly looking at what things are coming out and not just blindly paying for things that maybe were useful or apps, right? Or programs or systems or whatever that's just automatically coming out. You never even see it. You never even notice it until you're like, hey, what happened? Where did all my money go? And go through your bank statement, see what stuff you can cut out so you can keep that budget low. But on the same token, since you do have limited time, like we talked about before, one way you can raise your income ceiling is by raising prices. A lot of us are super nervous to raise prices because we immediately raise prices, customers leave, right? And that's scary for us, especially if maybe we've got customers that we've had for a long time. It can be really nerve-wracking, the thought of, oh man, what if 20 of my customers leave because they can't afford my prices. Number one, I guarantee you the majority of them are going to stick with you. If they like you, if they trust you, man, trust has a lot of value in people's eyes. If they know they can trust you in your home, they're not anxious, or in their home, they're not anxious to go shopping around and find some other stranger to come in and start that whole process over again. The vast majority will pay whatever your raise goes to. Now, for those who it honestly is a budget issue, they just really can't afford to pay your amount. I get it. That's a hard loss. But what you're doing is you're freeing up space in your calendar for people who are able to pay your new prices. So if you feel like you've hit a ceiling with income and you need it to be more, honestly look at raising prices. Sometimes 10, 15%. I've even raised prices 20% in some cases if there's some that I've not raised in a while. And again, before you do it, don't just raise it and say this is what we're charging now. Have a conversation with your customers. Treat them like human beings, right? They're human. They've got their own expenses. They've got their own stresses and things that they've got to deal with. Talk to them like a human. Explain to them why you got to raise prices, and tell them how much you wish you didn't have to, but this is what you need to do in order to stay viable as a business. Excuse me. Sorry about that. But if you talk with them and explain to them why this raise is necessary, 99% are going to totally understand and be on board, and be, some of them are going to be happy to pay it. They're going to be like, man, I was wondering when you're going to raise prices. You've had me at this rate for so long. I didn't know when you were going to do it, you know? And what this does, again, that raises that pay ceiling that allows you to stay a single owner operator, but make more money, for your family. I have a few friends who've been single operators, or maybe they have one or two employees and they stay that way. And they do very, very well, but they only take on clients that are willing to pay what they have. So they're very precious with the space that they have on their schedule, because they only want the customers that pay what they need to make in order for it to be profitable for them. So you have that control, guys. You have that control. You can charge what you need to charge. You may decide to raise the prices gradually. That's perfectly fine. You know, maybe raise it 5% every year on top of the inflation rate. Uh, that's perfectly fine. Now that's going to take you longer to get to where you need to be, so you'll have to make that decision. But again, it's just recognizing that sometimes you do need to clear out the I call the dead wood in your schedule, or the customers who are low paying, don't want to pay more, and sometimes they're also the most pickiest ones as well. So you clear out the dead wood. You now have room for the higher paying customers that you bid. So that's the first article, and that's on how not to burn out as a single owner operator. And again, just to rehash, it's recognizing your limits. Your body has limits, your time has limits, your income has limits. So be smart with those limits. You can still stay a single owner operator and do great, but recognize those limits, work within those limits, and then you'll be able to have a real happy experience with that. So I'm going to go through some of the comments here. We have some good ones. I've just been kind of seeing it out of the corner of my eye. So Dan says, learn to assess and implement frequency, referrals, average ticket, price increases, ever increase over time. So that's the FRAP method, right? That's real popular. Absolutely. Very, very good advice. Craig had a few things to say here. He says, I need to get on with you and talk about the body, the ways those at this for the long haul can practice, so they can keep this up without physically burning out. Craig, I would absolutely love, we are overdue having you on the podcast, dude. So we will definitely set that up. I'll contact you after we're done here and see when we can pick a day. But it says, know what you bring in each month, know exactly what you need to spend each month, what you need to save, charity, and then your excesses and indulgences. So that's really, really good. So excellent. He says, I keep pushing Grace Victoria Nugent to go back to community college to get her residential electrical certification. When she does not have to pay for that service on her own home, big savings. She does electrical. Okay, well, if you guys want to do that, go ahead. If there's another skill that you want to learn, I think his point is that whatever cost you can offset by doing yourself, if you have that time, that's definitely what you can do. But actually, it goes really well with Dan Friss's program, like I talked about. If you are in that spot where you don't really want to, you can't afford to pay for a social media management company or Facebook ad company to come in and charge, $600 a month, $800 a month, whatever it is, on top of the advertising expenses. Dan Friss is just his system is just really good, that you can do that work and do it effectively, and only have to pay once you pay first class. But then thereafter, all you have to pay is the ad revenue, which is really, really good. Yeah, so Nick says, thank you for talking about this topic. Yeah, absolutely, dude. I mean, I've gone through it, I mean, I've been doing this 26 years. Frank Graves says it's almost 65 is a true story, right? Yeah. I mean, it's just human nature, man. We think we're invincible. We push ourselves beyond limits. Sometimes it's because we need to provide for our family, right? I mean, that's one of the strongest urges we have, is to make sure our family's taken care of. We're going to do anything to cover that. So absolutely. We have to do that. Nick says, my weekends get shot down a lot. I'm thankful my frequent customers will fight me over working on the weekends, but I'm guilty of trying to work everyone in that I can. You want to, right? That should be your desire, but you have to have that desire balanced with the logic of what you actually can do. And if you push yourself too far, you're not really doing a good service for your clients, because you're not going to be there for them the next time. You're only going to be there for them a short time. So absolutely. Craig also says, my dad did not understand his own body as a window cleaner from time to time when men were so stubborn in the ways many ways not that correct. So he did a great deal of damage to his body just climbing ladders way past when he needed to retire from ladders. Ladder climbing, pole work, the shoulder, right? How many window cleaners have issues with their shoulders and with their necks? I mean, I've had to have a lot of massages and going to chiropractor. I'm trying to get issues with my neck straightened out. I'm finally at the point where I don't need to get that much. Like I feel like I've got it strong enough now, that it's issue. The other one is our carpal tunnel, man. When I first started cleaning windows, dude, I got carpal tunnel early on. That's why I'm ambidextrous when I clean windows, because I spent 6 months fanning with my left hand, because my right, I couldn't use it. I had to wait for the carpal tunnel to heal. Now I have not had any issues with tendonitis or carpal tunnel at all in probably like 15 years. So it's got strong enough now where I can deal with that. But again, that's our body, man. It's a machine, but it's a machine we got to take care of. Any machine is gonna just wear down and deteriorate over time if it's left to its own devices. So we have to step in, and we have to make sure that we take care of that. So very good. All right, well, guys, that's our first article. So the next one I wanted to talk about was about business growth, and is your business an instrument or an asset? So when we think about an instrument or an asset, the reason why I use those two terms is because our business can do one of two things. It can be an instrument that we operate to perform, or it can be an asset, something that brings value to us, whether we're there or not. So, for instance, this is talking about hiring, right? So here's the other end of the spectrum. So we talked about being a single owner operator and not wanting to hire, wanting to make sure we run the business, and we do this until we retire. But on the other hand, we have a business that maybe, especially if we've been in business for a decade or longer, there's value in that longevity, and there's value in the branding that has lasted for those years, right? Plus, you've got the skill level. You're doing quality work. You've got a good reputation in the community. These are all different things. But how you make your business an asset, how you make your business work for you. So the danger that happens with a lot of single owner operators is they don't really have a long-term plan. So they're in their business, they're working, they're not thinking about the future. They kind of operate as if they're always going to be able to clean windows. It's a real sad thing, and I've had several people do this, and my business has benefited. They've cleaned windows 30 years, 35 years, and then they're done. And they literally just hand their customers over to somebody else. And they're just like, nope, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And they go, now if they have investments, if they have a retirement fund, I get it, But if you've got your business and you've built it for 30 years, how could you just let it go like that, right? But that happens all the time. So what can you do to make sure that your business remains an asset? So there's a few things that you can kind of keep in mind. So one, like I mentioned, you might invest or start thinking about hiring. So we know there's a lot of headaches of hiring. You're dealing with employees now. Your expenses are up, right? Supplies go up. You may have multiple vehicles now that you have to pay for, and insurance and all that stuff. So there's definitely some things that you have to keep in mind. However, once you have a sweet spot of employees, meaning good quality employees that you can trust, that can work on their own, mistakes and problems are minimal, they're honest, and they're working towards your company, well, now all of a sudden you're not needed in the field as much anymore. Maybe you still want to, like I still work about 1 or 2 days a week, right now, because we're trying to build out here in this area that we're growing in. I'm here this whole week. It's probably the first full week of work I've worked in. I can't think of how long. But you get to the point where let me think, I'll just digress just a little bit. One of the best feelings I had was when we went on vacation. My wife and my daughter, we went on vacation. We came back and everything was just running the same. Our paycheck came in the same time. It was awesome. It was one of those things where we really it was shown that the business had gotten to the point where it didn't need me anymore. And before, when I took a vacation, oh, hold on one second. My battery's just dying. Let me go plug this in real quick here. Sorry, I thought I could get away with using just the battery on this. But yeah, we got to go on vacation. Nothing changed. I mean, it was as if we were home, right? And before, what I'd have to do is we'd have to, one, save up money for the vacation, and then two, save up money for them that we were missing by not being there working. I mean, it was really, really difficult. It was a lot of work. It was very expensive. It was just one of those things that we just got used to doing because I was a single owner operator, right? And if I'm not working, we don't get a paycheck. So when you're when you work to have your business get to the point where you're not needed in the field, then it can be an asset to you. The business can work for you. And when you need to, like, just I'll give you a big, for instance. Okay, my parent, I've mentioned this before on the podcast. My parents' health both has gone down quite a bit in the last 3 years. And in particular, the last couple of years, there have been periods of time where I really have had to devote a lot of time away from work to take care of necessary matters for my parents. And I'm still doing that, But imagine if I had to cancel a day's work in order to go run over because some emergency happened, which many times it did. I had to just drop whatever I was doing. I built the business enough that I could drop things and go without the business missing a beat, right? So that's the first step in making sure your business is an asset. Is can you get it to the point where it works for you rather than you constantly having to be, like I mentioned, the instrument, right? You have to operate the instrument. If you're have a one man if you're a one man band, you can't miss that day, right? Because then nobody's hearing the music. You've got all these instruments going at once, and it sounds awesome. But if you're not there, those instruments aren't going to play themselves. Whereas you think of a conductor of an orchestra, right? It's true that he's got to be there to direct things, but he doesn't have to play any of those instruments. All the other the musicians are playing the instruments and making the music. They're doing that part of the work. So that's the goal. If we want our business to be an asset, we want to learn how to be a conductor rather than the one man band, right? And that's something that we can do. So, anyways, keep that in mind. If that is something that you want your business to build to, then that's the way to go. Now, the next part that's a challenge when you get employees is how do you keep consistency, right? So if your customers are used to you always being there, everything's the same, everything's operating the way that it should, and then you bring someone new in who may not be fully up to speed with how you do things, well, then customers can get upset, right? And I've had those calls like, oh, you sent this guy, he didn't do what you usually do. You always used to lay down drop cloths, and he didn't do that this time. And oh, they'll find reasons to be upset about different things, right? Because it's not you. And that's understandable. They're used to you. That's why they hired you. You were the face of the company for so long, and now that you have employees, it's easy for us to be able to for our customers to be uneasy because you are not the one that's there all the time. So the solution to that is by setting up systems. And we throw around systems a lot, and it's kind of become almost a buzzword now. But generally speaking, systems are kind of like the sheet music, right? So we're talking using the illustration of the orchestra again. The musicians, they can memorize stuff. They can, I mean, a lot of them can play by ear music that we're all very familiar with, right? But yet you see these musicians who have been playing for decades and are in the most famous symphonies in the world, and they're reading sheet music. They're looking at that sheet music and following along with the lead of the conductor. So the systems that you put in place are like protocols that your workers can use. And that's really important, because what systems do is they allow you to not have to be there, but in a sense, you're still giving them instructions. So providing protocols and boundaries of what to do, and letting them know, hey, when do you need to actually call the office, or when do you need to actually call me? It's if this, or this happen. If they don't happen, then you should be able to handle this on your own. Here's some guidelines for you. The mistake I think some people make when it comes to systems is sometimes they become a little more overbearing, right? They become micromanagers, and pretty soon you've got this thick book of systems that tells them exactly how they're supposed to handle every single situation. See, that's not effective. I mean, I don't know if you've ever gotten a handbook like that. Do you ever read the whole thing? No, you don't read the whole thing. You skim the important parts, right? The stuff that applies to you. And maybe if a certain situation comes up, you might go back and get the handbook and refer to it to see if you get some guidelines. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about training your employees to understand what the protocols are in certain situations. Now, your employees are not you, so you can never expect, it's unfair of you to expect them to do things just as you would. However, you can teach them why the things you do are important and why the customers like it, and set expectations of them to do those things. So part of that's going to be literally writing things down in a handbook that they can sign and say, you have been instructed to do this. But the more effective way is to work with them and to check up on that. And if you get a report, call up, hey, one of your employees, he did a great job, but he was on the phone the entire time he was here. And he probably could have got the job done about a half an hour, 45 minutes earlier if he just would have got off his phone. Boom. Now what's the next step in the protocol? You need to hold them accountable, right? That's part of the training. So it's one thing to teach them how to do it, and they're going to do it while you're there. But what about when they're not there? And that's hard, right? None of us like confrontation, especially if we like our employees, especially if we like have an affection for them, and maybe we've gone through some things with them. But when we get that report that they have strayed from the system, we have to call them out on it. Not in a mean way, not like you're gonna humiliate them or berate them. That's not effective. But you need to have a conversation. Hey, so just so you know, we got this call from a customer. They said you were on your phone for the whole time. Is that true? Oh, no, I don't think I was on that line as well. The customer did, and really, how the customer views this is probably the most important. So, look, you're a great employee. I'm not saying that I don't want to. You're in danger of losing your job. But what I'm saying is that this is the report we got. We're going to be looking out for this now. So, please do your best. Save your phone use to when you're on your break or lunch. And if the customers are noticing it, then you're probably doing it way more than what you think. Can you do that for me? Yeah. See, that's the rapport that you need to have, but you have to enforce the protocols. If you don't enforce them, you might as well not even have them, right? They're just words. That's all they are. They don't mean anything. So you definitely want to establish the systems, but then you have to enforce it. And if you can do that, then your employees can just be a representative of the business in the way that you want that business to be represented. And the other thing, just kind of just side point, it's not in this article, but it's something that I've been through. If you've got someone who is bad for the culture, meaning they are consistently going against the systems you've set up, and perhaps even convincing others to be unhappy with the systems that you set up, that may be someone you need to get rid of. And they may be a good window cleaner, right? They may be bringing in money to the business, but if they are if they're getting other people to be upset about the systems you've designed, boy, that is just something you're going to have to really think about and think, is it worth having that person there? Because the second people rebel against your systems, you've lost control of your business. So just keep that in mind, making sure that you're avoiding the micromanagement, but at the same time giving clear indications of what expectations you have for your employees, and then making sure that you're following through and enforcing, or at least making sure that they are doing that and understand there's consequences if they don't. So just those things to keep in mind. Now, the last thing is that we're going to talk about in this article is structure. So structure is very closely aligned with with systems, but it's a little different. So let me use this other illustration with music. So how do you feel when your favorite band breaks up, right? Sometimes it's acrimonious. Sometimes two people just their egos get the best of them and they break up. Others, it's just they got different things they want to do now. They have their different passions and they do. It's just a natural split. But you're kind of bummed, right? Because you're like, oh man, I'm never going to hear them play again. At least not make new music together. It's just kind of a thing that really bothers you. But going back to orchestras, an orchestra, like for instance, the Philharmonic, they they last for like decades. The musicians change all the time, but they're still called the same, right? The same symphony theme that they have. So what does that mean? It means that the structure that has been set up is not dependent on the people in the symphony. Now they do need the quality there, right? They need the talent, they need the abilities, they need people to play the right instruments to be able to fill out that symphony, that orchestra. But they don't need the exact people like you would in a band, right? When one person, a prominent person in a band leaves, it's like the whole band changes. Doesn't mean it's for the worse. It just means it changes. But an orchestra always stays the same when it's in that, playing at a certain thing. So what does that tell us about business? Well, what it tells us is that we want to build that type of structure in our company. So that means clearly established roles, right? So it doesn't have to be super, complicated. Like in my business, we have a tech, window tech. That's a regular window thing. We have a lead tech. That a lead tech is someone who I view as has the skills very comparable to mine. I trust their judgment. I give them the authority to tell other window cleaners how to do their job or where to go on a certain job. Not like in a mean way or like they're lording it over them, the other workers, but I'm trusting their experience and their that what they've done for the company, that they're going to make a good decision in whatever they have to face. So that's something that you need to do. The same is true of your business. If you're the only person that your client ever sees, you're going to have a difficult time selling your business in the future someday if that's what you want to do, right? Your clients like you. If you're the face of your business, like mine, my business is Gabe Spotless Window Cleaning, right? That's synonymous with me. But I have a lot of clients that I've never cleaned for, and they like the technician that comes, and they like the structure that we've set up with Gabe Spotless. Why is that? It's because no matter who comes, they're going to do that. They're going to work within the protocols and have the same results, whether I'm there or whether they're there. Now that definitely takes time, right? That takes training, that takes branding, that they associate the brand with the work rather than you personally. And so once we do that, what we're doing now is we're associating the value of our work with our company rather than with us. Just a side note, I wrote an article called it's the avoid the A team B team syndrome, and that was also one that was really well received. But it talks about what we can do to avoid the customer that feels like, oh, if I show up, if the owner shows up, it's the A team. But if someone else shows up, it's the B team. It's probably not going to be as good quality. It's gonna, I'm not going to be as happy with it. There's things that you can do to make sure, but the first part is having that structure in your business that when someone shows up, they're going to do things the same way, right? And regardless which technician shows up for that day, for that work, the quality is going to be the same. The customer service, the customer experience is going to be the same. And that takes that structure, right? That takes that coming. Now, the value of that, like I mentioned, is you're building a brand. So if you do ever decide to sell, you're selling the brand and the structure of that business. So now it's an asset, something that you have. Unlike what we mentioned earlier, where we have the person who's been working 30 years, they retire, and now everything just goes poof, and all the customers have to either scramble to find a new window cleaner themselves, or he may refer his clients to a local person that he likes. But you have nothing to show for that, right? That window cleaner has nothing to show for all the 30 years of work that they did. And some people are totally cool with it. I've talked to several of them. They're like, yeah, whatever. I knew that was coming. I'm fine with it. I get it. But how much better to have an asset that when it's time to retire, you can actually sell and get some money back from that. You can sell your asset on that. So again, let's go over those points. There's 3 of them again. So it's making sure if you do want to have your business to become an asset, one of the biggest things is to cross over that line and have employees. Establish systems so that your employees know what to do, whether you're there or not, and then have structure in your business so that everything operates the same regardless of who may be in that particular position. So those are definitely some of the things. Hey, Tyler, how you doing, bud? Don't worry about it. It's going to be on. It's here on in the Facebook group, in Window Cleaning Nation, but it's also on YouTube. If you guys ever want to watch past episodes, I have a YouTube channel. You can catch them on there too. Nice thing about YouTube, well, if you pay for the extra thing, I pay so that I can listen and have my phone off, and I can listen to the audio on that. So yeah, definitely, that's something that you guys have that option to do. So we have a few comments here. Oh, Jess says he smoked a cigarette at my house. Yeah, I had a guy. This is a funny story. I hired a guy. He came from. It was one of those hires where you're just like, I'll just do it. We need a worker. Picked him up from his house. He made me wait 10 minutes for him to come out of the house. We get to the first job. I give him his equipment. He's an experienced window cleaner. He starts cleaning windows. The customer comes to me and says, hey, could you tell your employee, he's in the back of my house, he's smoking. Could you tell him I don't really want anybody smoking on my property? So I went and told him, say, hey, dude, what are you doing, man? You can't be smoking on people's property. He literally quit right there. He quit. He sat on a bucket the whole time while I finished the job, the house. And then I just dumped him off at the local Circle K so one of his family could come pick him up. But yeah, definitely. So Squeegee Chick, she also says, do you always have the same techs at the same clients, or do they get scheduled with the first available crew? Excellent question. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. So we have a little community called Green Valley. I have one window cleaner named Anthony. They absolutely, this is like a retirement community in Green Valley. They adore him. So pretty much we're always going to send Anthony to Green Valley. That's just they love him down there. He likes it. The houses are smaller. They're kind of easier to manage. He's a lot more comfortable with that type of job. So yeah, sometimes we do arrange that, but other times we can't. Sometimes we do have to send other employees. We will mark when someone specifically says, I do not want this person to come to my house again. Sometimes it's a valid reason, sometimes it's not, but whatever, we honor and respect the customer's wishes on that. So yeah, that was an experience. But all right, very cool, man. Well, we're just about done and out of time. Again, I wanted to, for those who weren't here, I did share at the beginning of this video something that I've come across. So Dan Friss, I'm not sure if he's still in here or not, but he's come up with this really wonderful training. It's called The Shortcut, and it's him teaching you how to make your own Facebook ads. I'm just going to put this up here one more time. I'm just going to show you. So this is my results from Friday. I posted the ad on Friday till just before this podcast. So I'm just showing you because I just don't want you to take my word for it. Like, oh, Gabe's just saying this because he's working with Dan Friss on this, and because he's going to help me with some stuff that we're going to collaborate on with Squeegee U. I just tried it because if I'm going to collaborate with him, I want to know that the product works. And I just was blown away to have $9 Facebook leads. I mean, it's just outstanding. And we've already made up our money on what we paid for it just by these ads, just in this few days, right? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So was that 4 days? we've already made our money on it. So again, I'm not saying you will have the exact same experience. I'm just saying if you are a window cleaning owner and you really are not in a position to pay a professional, $800 a month to do your own Facebook ads, this may be a good investment for you to buy in, get the training, and now you have that tool that you can use for the rest, for the rest of the time, and you can make your own ads and keep your advertising budget low thereafter. So anyways, just sharing that. And I appreciate you, Dan, for your help with that. Appreciate everyone who listened in. Again, if you think anyone can benefit from this podcast, please share it with them. Like and subscribe on my YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And also, just one real quick announcement before we close up shop, since it's that time. I am going to be doing a seminar, and I still haven't quite worked it up yet to where it's ready to present. But I'm hoping to have it ready, not this Thursday, but by the next Thursday. I'll let you guys know about it. But it's going to be the 5 common mistakes that window cleaners make to be inefficient. And there's just things that we do as window cleaners. We don't even realize we're doing it, but it makes us slow. And if we can just pin down these 5 things, we can take off half an hour to an hour on our jobs just by being mindful of some of these things. So I'm hoping to have that worked out by next Thursday. I'll let you guys know for sure. Hopefully this weekend I can make an announcement, and we can. I just have to learn how to get the seminar thing set up on Zoom. But I'll send you guys the link, and then we'll get that set up. I think you guys will. If you enjoyed this podcast, you'll enjoy that one for sure. Just some good tips. But thank you guys all so much. I appreciate everything, all the people who commented, and for you guys listening in. But we will catch you next week. It'll be just like normal, where I have a guest and we talk and have fun. But until then, you guys take care, and we'll catch you later.